Good afternoon, everybody. If I may ask that we start taking our seats, please, so that we can start with the formal program. It's 1:10 on the dot, and I think we should be starting. Where would you like us standing for? Is that the camera that I'm looking at? Okay, fantastic. You can count me down when you're ready. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Craft and Design Institute, another wonderful and scintillating edition of Creative Exchanges, where we're exploring the world of AI and in a little bit way ethics as far as our design process is concerned. We've got an incredible array of panelists who are going to be taken to the stage in a short while. My name is Africa Manane, lovely to be your host again. We have an audience here at the CDI at the V&A Waterfront Makers Landing. Thank you very much for making the time. I should have probably done this before we started with the live broadcast. Hey, please take out your phones, your smart watches, as well as your tablets, anything that makes a noise, and make sure that it is switched off. Not switched off, at least on vibrate, because we appreciate it's a working day. And for those who are looking for Wi-Fi, that's the password, by design 26. Sorry for sharing that on the World Wide Web. But we have an afternoon of 2 sessions, if you like. Panel discussion that is going to be starting in the next few minutes. And then you will break away into 3 rooms where the panelists will then showcase at granular detail what it is that they are going to be touching on this afternoon. And you've been invited, obviously, to start thinking about which of the 3 groups you'd like to go to. If you would like to change your mind, it's okay. But if you walk into an oversubscribed room, we might need to ask you to then go back to your original group, if that is possible. So For the official word of welcome and an explainer as to why we are gathered here again, please welcome the incredibly talented Chief Executive of the Craft and Design Institute, Ms. Erica Elk.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to CDI. I think there's some people who've told me this is the first time they're in our new space. So welcome. Have a look around. This is home. Consider it home. So why are we doing these series? Well, AI, I don't know, it feels like a couple of months ago everybody was talking about AI's coming, and now AI's here, and it feels like it's kind of taken over a little bit. And we did a session of the Creative Exchange on this topic last year, I think November maybe, and then I think it was still sort of a twinkle in somebody's eye. And it's like a very big topic. It just feels huge and overwhelming, and it feels like it's infiltrating every aspect of our lives. And so we're doing this series over, in fact, the next couple of months, thanks to the Department of Economic Development and Tourism. I just need to say a shout out to our sponsors who are making this possible. And the focus of the program for the year is around how tech can enable creative businesses and our creative processes. So we are sort of curating, to use that fabulous word, a series of conversations that for me, thanks to Tashma, who's pulling this together, that for me is to try and demystify all the aspects of AI and all the places and tools that are available to make it more tangible and more practical, so that we don't have this sort of kind of fear and sense of awe, but actually that we understand the environment, we understand the possibilities, and we can harness it to the best of our abilities and the best of the tools, actually. And so we're looking at today, we're starting with the sort of creative ideation process. So they're tools, I don't know what they are, but I know they're there, and there's some amazing people who are going to talk a little bit about it. But so thinking about AI in the creative process, how do we use the tools? What are they, so that we don't lose our agency, that we manage the ethics around it, but that it actually helps us become more creative and more innovative. I sometimes think I spend my life writing funding proposals, and my thing about my experience of AI at the moment is I feel like it's making me smarter, that it's actually giving me access to information and analysis and tools or whatever that I really didn't know existed. But I have to be in the room. I have to be the person that is taking charge of the activity. So today is around the creativity innovation. We're going to move into in the next couple of months. We'll do another series that may look at sort of business processes or AI tools around production or around distribution or around marketing, sales, etc. So we're going to work through the process of running a business and investigating as we move through this journey with you. What are the different tools? Bring in people. There are always those people who are the sort of first adopters, ahead of the game, who are understanding and making use of. And that's what we're going to be doing. So today is the kind of first activity. Watch our newsletters and our social media for what comes next. We're going to program a couple of masterclasses, which will be an opportunity to do a deeper dive with somebody. And we're going to be running some sort of content on our platforms to keep you informed. If there's anything you want to learn more about, or topics that you think that we should be thinking about, or people who you know have become an expert or have grasped a particular tool, let us know, and we'll program it. So welcome and enjoy. Thank you, Africa.
Thank you very much. It's always lovely being in this space, and thank you for the leadership you provide the team to have these lovely and sometimes complicated conversation. Well, our panelists include Lars Espeta, who's going to be speaking to the AI promise and the production reality. We also have Ryan Stevenson, who speaks to AI video production from prompting to polish, and then Amiruddin, speaking about engenic workflows for the creative practice. Please welcome Zah, Ryan, and Lars. There will be some theory that might have to be shared, but the gentlemen have promised not to make it too technical, and I'm going to be prompting them to leave you with a nugget that you can use in your business space at the end. Perhaps Lars, Zah, and Ryan, bit of introduction. Who are you? How did you get into space?
First question, is the mic working? Good. I'm really bad with mics. Yeah, my name is Lars Espeta. Thank you for having me. I work for a company. I'm here for the company GD Outsourcing, which we established as part of the Friends of Design Holding, because we saw the need to have technical consultants and people that connect South African, especially web and game developers, with the European market. You might have heard that my background is European, given my accent. And over the past couple of years, of course, being involved in game technology, interactive media development, and so on and so forth, vibe coding, generative AI, and everything like that came up, became a topic, became scary for a lot of our developers and artists. And that is my role there, to basically introduce people to the topic and explain them the real world without having a bias.
Thank you very much, Lars. Zah?
Hi there, everyone. Thanks for having me too. So my name is Zaya Amiruddin. I co-own a design studio called Thinking Studio. We specialize in product design and the intersection of engineering. I've worked on a few projects that I've led, like the Cape Town sign at the V&A Waterfront. We do a lot of interactive builds for big clients like Levi's, like Adidas, Jamison's, all big shopping malls around South Africa as well. That's my background.
And then finally, Ryan.
Sure. Hey, everyone. My name is Ryan Stevenson, as I think you probably know. I'm a photographer, I'm a videographer, and I'm an AI artist. I create AI videos for brands, videos, ads, explainer videos. That wasn't actually my training. I used to be a corporate sales trainer, business developer in London. I walked away from corporate in 2015, picked up a camera, and here we are 10 years later. And over the last, I'd say, 3 years, AI has become an incredible part of the workflow, whether it's photography, whether it's video, designing a website, or even just coming up with a concept. AI is really helping me elevate and enhance my work. It's not replacing me. I can't replace myself. So it's really been something which has given me the ability to produce things which I've only dreamed of producing. And yeah, it's an exciting journey. Okay.
Let's start with you, Ryan, while you still have the
Sure.
the microphone. Many people will obviously sweat buckets and blood creating product and wanting to get it out to the market so that people can consume it.
Yes.
Consume it at a premium price, possibly because they appreciate the incredible amount of hard work and sacrifice that has gone into it. But in order for them to sell it, they actually need to create these wonderful videos, images, put it on appropriate platforms. How can they then use AI to help with that?
Sure. I would say start small. Crawl, walk, run, win the marathon. And in fact, as a starting point, before you create anything new, look at the marketing collateral, the assets that you already have. How can you extract more value from it? How can you repurpose it? It might even be something as simple as a photo. How do you turn a photo into an advert for 8 or 10 seconds and target a specific audience? I mean, and I'm going to show you an ad that I did in the demo. It cost me maybe $2.50, and I produced it in an afternoon. And this is the sort of availability that we now have. I think just because we have availability to AI, I don't think we should just be automatically creating AI for our brand. If anything, you need to adopt a sort of a feedback loop. Produce, and don't even show your own followers, don't show your own audience, show people that you know, friends, family. Don't tell them that you're planning on using it. Say, listen, this is one of many videos that is that we're looking at for our brand. What do you think? Get some honest feedback. And before you even show it to your followers, to your audience, I don't know if any of you are familiar with things called trial reels. Okay, so you can create as many trial reels as you want, different versions of the same video, and show it to all of your non-followers. You then pick the best performing ad and show that to your followers. Get some feedback before you start putting it out for your brand. That's probably where I'd advise you start.
How important then would be an appreciation of, one, the social media space, but also the creating of a visual and moving piece of content that is then to tell a story, but ultimately tug enough at the heartstrings for you to buy that product?
Sorry, can you ask the question again?
If I don't have any advertising background or an ability to even imagine how I take that pillow, for example, and create an image and a moving sort of moment in it enough for people to sell, how do I get into that?
Sure. I mean, for me, I'm self-taught on everything. I never went to college and never studied anything beyond what I myself am interested in and what I want to learn. I would say that AI gives you the ability to be able to work in stages. Firstly, talk to it, share your idea, and ask it for an honest review. Ask it to review as a business developer, as a marketing consultant, where this might work for your brand, where it might be disadvantageous for your brand. And then from that, you can start to develop that story. I would say that AI is much easier than the traditional tools for video editing, for photo creation. It's far easier. So the learning curve is much shorter. What I would say to anyone who's thinking about, even if you don't have, if you don't consider yourself a photographer or a creative or someone who can create a video, do you have a good idea? Are you able to use your imagination and visualize something? Start small. Visualize a 10-second advert for yourself. In the demo, I'll be showing you how you can use some free tools and actually get some free credits before you even spend any money to be able to create the artwork, and then from that artwork, generate that into a video. And then from that video, make it something which is a little bit more polished. So there are a few stages to it. Don't get me wrong in thinking that AI is going to do it all for you. AI will enhance what you do. It will give you let me ask you this. How many of you are planning on creating content for yourselves? How many of you are planning on getting someone else to create content for you? Okay, so majority of you, it's you want to actually take the steps to create your content. It's actually really easy to get started. And I think the most important thing is just to take it slow.
All right. Za, let's take it then from creating content in order to communicate a message and hopefully drive sales to reflecting how we can adopt AI in our workflows within our creative process. The highly sensitive element, I suppose, will be how much of AI should you adopt into your process and still be the one who's creative?
Okay. So I think it's where in the process we are thinking about, and I can only obviously speak from my experience and how I've implemented into my business. And the way that we looked at it is, what can we use AI to do that is going to make each person and each staff member within the business a bit more efficient at doing their things. And we're quite a small company. We're a company of 10 people. So in order to actually run this company, everyone, there's designers and engineers, we're all wearing different hats all of the time. Some people are always doing costings, even if you're a designer. So we looked at AI tools and how to implement AI that gives everyone the opportunity to actually run a lot more efficiently. Some of the ways that we did this, we created a database of all of our materials that we used over the years. We built it into our project management system that had all of the costs tied to those materials. Now when our designers actually have to build up a bill of materials, no one has to cost it out any longer. We pull that material straight into our project management and it builds out the costing for you. So we've utilized AI very downstream within the business. And so I think like authentically and ethically, that's how we've tried to, still have ownership over our creative process.
Here's a lazy follow-up question. In that process, how much in terms of time as well as money have you actually saved? So in a traditional way, if you didn't have to rely on AI tools, how many more people would you have to employ, and how many more hours would it take for you guys to output what you do?
Okay, I actually have a perfect example of a project that we did with that. So I'm also, my approach to AI has been a bit on the fence as well. I'm also a bit wary about it. How should we use it? Should we even use it to begin with? And as a test and to stay relevant and to actually also understand, the environment and what our competitors also might do, I trialed it in one of our projects. I trialed it, myself, the whole scope of the project, the whole build, right? Other than the physical, just all the software development, all the front end, all the back end. I spec'd our entire project out with AI. I got it to create all the markdown files, isolated a computer, and I had it build itself. In that project, where we saved about 80% of what we would normally be spending on our own time, so not outsourcing development, but our own time, we saved about 80%. In time itself, we cut down a 4-week process to a 1-week process with one person running it.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. How critical is it then to identify the right tools to bring in to your organization? Because I imagine for every one tool that might be appropriate, there are probably 1 million that are not.
Yeah, also it's interesting, and I think it's an explorative process. I mean, you have to dabble in everything a little bit to understand exactly what it is that you need to use and what you don't need to use. Where I've landed on with it is trying to steer away from conversational AI, where you can get stuck in a loop. Everything that you say is continuously correct, and rather giving AI a set of criteria where I'm the project manager and it's the architect, and it's executing everything that I'm project managing.
Which I think segues nicely to your input, Lars, if I may, because there's what AI promises, and whether it's AI promising that or it's just a human being hoping that AI is going to bring all these wonderful solutions for us to actually just make more money and create more product, versus what is the reality. I mean, the variance between those two can be quite stark sometimes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, there is a lot of promise out there that it will solve all your problems, and especially when you listen to, like 2-3 years ago, there were all these claims by companies that they will replace all the jobs in major companies. 50 million jobs would be destroyed was, I think, a number that came up, mainly by the people that create these tools. That has not happened yet at all. It's a question if it will happen, because people get rehired all of a sudden, because a lot of incidences have shown that AI only will not work. I will bring up a couple of examples during my talk, which is not the main part of it, but it's really important to understand that the technology, it's technology. Photoshop didn't kill designers. These tools can do a lot more than Photoshop ever would be able to, but you have to think about the actual fact that your knowledge and how you use these tools will inform how good the stuff is you create. If you run it alone, it will definitely backfire for you. And the main thing is why these talks and these panels and these events are so important, is to really understand how this technology really works and what it can do.
What should you know? I mean, should I know how to code, for example, when I've never done a single day of coding in my entire life before?
Depends on the complexity of what you're doing. I'm going into that as well, but let's say we have these guys at the Academy of Digital Arts that learn coding. They have to understand how coding works, because they might have to fix the thing that the AI has created. Which is, software engineers do that all the time. These are some of the problems that come up. If you like for instance, photography. or video editing, storytelling. Yes, you can create brilliant AI graphics. They're great for that. But you will only get good quality if you understand the basics of composition, storytelling techniques, and if something really is a good design. The same is for graphic designers. We have graphic designers that use AI now to speed up their processes, which is great, absolutely. But they have to be graphic designers with that foundation where they understand this is actually good design and not something that will not translate the message or transport the message that my client, for instance, wants to transport with a logo design.
How often is AI wrong?
So again?
How often is AI wrong?
In the example that I give, when it comes to coding, in easy tasks, 10 to 20% still. In more complex tasks, it reaches up to 45%.
And I suppose the scary thing is that AI makes it up then. Do you know what I mean? Like Zara made reference to it. Like you don't want a conversational AI that will tell you how amazing this is when it's not. You want one that's going to say, actually rubbish, let's start over.
It's exactly that. Thank you for that. If you have to, like I use it very often for research. I ask it questions. I throw it a case. Like, listen, I'm doing this. I want this. What do you think? And please give me an unbiased answer. That usually works quite well. But just as if I'm talking to a different expert or I'm talking to somebody as an expert, always accept that they might not know it all. And I think when you approach AI like that, it's a great and helpful tool. At least in my case, I use it pretty much every day.
Zara, the sort of time and certainly money that you save obviously contributes to efficiencies, bottom line, and all of that. What I'm also reading into that is that it probably gives you a little bit more time and freedom to be creative and to play, right? Whereas if you're needing to take 4 weeks to research something, to output because you've got a client that has a deadline that has been levied to you, if you're able to minimize that to a week, the remaining 3 weeks gives you a little bit of room to play, I hope. Or is that too romantic an idea?
No, it definitely does, and it is part of the implementation and use of it. I mean, we strictly aren't using it to replace anyone. You know, we're using it to make every person more efficient. And I mean, myself included in that, you know, mainly my experimentation has been about my role, where my bottlenecks are, how do I make myself more efficient. So I created and developed quite a few HR tools because that bottleneck is in my position. And that, you know, frees me up a lot to then focus more with the creatives in their processes, where otherwise my time would have generally been taken up by a lot of that HR.
No, absolutely. I mean, poor HR practitioners who've studied for years at CPUT, poor things. But the reality is, you know, while HR is an essential and important function, it is one that you can do efficiently.
Yeah, that's great. And as small businesses, sometimes you don't necessarily need a dedicated person to HR. I mean, our business is only 10 people. Myself and the co-owner, we've managed all of the HR and admin, you know, and I think a lot of small businesses will probably understand that is what you go through. So the tools that we created was very specific to our company and how do we make our company more efficient? How do we maximize our energy, you know, the inputting into other creative work, you know, things that we really are interested in, and minimize the time spent on the more boring, redundant work that you don't get into a creative industry for specifically.
Something tells me you never get bored in any day, right? Given the work that you do.
No, I'm ADHD, so it's been structured that way.
Do you? Let me ask this question rather. Have you been surprised by what you've been able to learn through AI?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's continuously evolving. It really is. And I think to demystify it all, rather than asking what can AI do for me, ask what do you want AI to do for you? And then through that, you can actually find the right AI, the right technology that will facilitate what your objectives are. You can't try and ask every AI to do what you want it to do. It won't do it the right way. It's like all technology. You know, a lot of companies, when we used to work in event technology, we'd have the biggest companies in the world, from Saudi Aramco to Nike to Pfizer, some great and horrible companies all together, coming and asking us, what can our technology do, with no real plan of what they actually want to achieve. And that, you're going to go round and round, and you're never actually going to do anything, because you need to sit down and go, how do I want to reimagine my working career? How do I want my employees to be on a daily basis, talking about what you guys were? Yes, you don't have to do the administration anymore, so how can we improve things by having more customer-facing time? And what is it that you would be doing in that customer-facing time? So I think, without digressing, yeah, really narrow down on your objectives for your business, for you, for your employees, and then through that, do most of your research to find the right AI, which has actually been created to facilitate what you need.
And ultimately, another point I was discussing with Zai, will give the creatives an opportunity to be just that. Because when you're running a small business, sometimes not only do you have to come up with a creative idea, you need to package it, you need to prototype it, you need to come up with a marketing plan, you need to come up with a proposal that goes to some government entity who's going to give you the money for it. You need to come with an HR sort of infrastructure in place so that you're not taken to the CCMA, blah, 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 blah. And yet all you want to do is just create.
Yes. Yeah, look, I think, was there a question there?
No. It's a habit of being a talk show host. Like you sort of throw out a comment and then see what people resonate
what
with.
came to my mind was a lot of the work that I do. Think about it like this: AI is not cheating. It's just that some people out there have got a team of researchers, they've got a team of AI modelers, they've got a team of graphic designers. They go into a boardroom, they have a conversation, they tell everyone to go away and do what they need to do, and then a few weeks later they come back and we see if it's any good, right? Maybe a few months later, take some time. But with AI, I can, on my break, drive to the shop, on the way, have a chat with the AI, and by the time I've come back, have a full document with all of my thoughts, structured, presented in a way to send off to the client. I didn't need to go and write the email. I didn't need to go and write the concept out. I didn't need to consult with anyone else. I did that on the way to the shop, just having a conversation, hands-free, of course. And that work was done for me. So look at it that way. It's enhancing your abilities. It's really unleashing your ability to be creative and to produce things in the now. No, wait.
Yeah. Let's take some wonderfully formulated and articulated questions for our panelists. We'll probably take a few hands. If you can show your hand. Can I just use this microphone because it's going to be better? If you introduce yourself and then the question to your panelists.
Hi there. I'm Shona. I'm a fashion designer and event organizer. And I'm busy rebuilding my website completely with AI. So when you look at it, it's all AI-generated images, and I know that there's a lot of pushback for AI being used in the creative space because people are like, why is this not the real stuff? But what I'm hoping to achieve with it is when you click on a picture, the AI picture, then you'll see the real picture because the whole story is being told as a comic book. So it's taking the photography that we take in real life, imagining that then into AI, putting this into a story that flows, that tells all the how we do it, why we do it, like a magical story. And then my idea is that to close the circle is eventually then to take some of those specific images and have them painted and have them brought back into real life art. I would just like to hear your thoughts on this as a strategy, because it's something I'm busy building now, but how do I communicate this also to the consumers? Because when they say this, they're going to be like, don't use AI posters, you're taking away jobs. And then you've got to be able to communicate it quickly to people like, actually, this is the art. You know, it's digital art, it's multimedia art. So that's, yeah, just would love your thoughts on that.
Sure. I think, first thing is the power of your messaging. How quickly can you explain that to someone, what they're looking at? I love the interactivity. The more interactive your website is, the better. I think there is, and I've got friends in fashion, and there is two sides to the argument right now. Some absolutely hate it, and some are embracing it. So I think you're going to lose some people. You're going to win other people. But I think ultimately this is the direction that it's going in. I know friends who are embracing AI in fashion, especially on the production side, because clients would often try and squeeze them and ask for a whole bunch of things that they actually can't afford. And now the producer can go, well, actually, you can't afford that, so we're going to do those scenes as AI, and we'll do this one scene as real. And we can enhance that way. So that's a really nice way to go about it.
From a film production point of view, you mean?
Yes,
as
film,
opposed to
even just stills fashion, right?
Okay.
You can get the girl doing one model, you can get one photo of one girl, and then you don't even have to do the dress changes. You can just ask AI to put the other dresses on. Change the location, change the look. You know, you might have missed the shot where you want the two models looking at each other. Well, you can ask AI to make them look at each other.
That
And
was
in
a
which way.
very voluble reaction. Was it from you? If I can ask, what are you feeling right now?
What is real? You know, this is the thing. I've also been using it quite extensively, and I'm really enjoying it, in fact, because I'm building collateral for different clients, and just it's learning how to ask the question.
Yes.
You know, and being creative in terms of that, and then I like to throw in some obtuse angles into it, and it's really been fantastic. And I got such a fright the other day because I eventually said to it, okay, Chatty, I was calling it Chatty, you can write a poem about my life and what my life is all about and where I've been. And I wrote this long prose, and the end of it signed it as Luna with a flower in her hair. And I actually felt quite bad that I didn't know that my Chatty was actually lady. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I didn't know that either.
For me this is good, but I'm also concerned about, for example, as a woman, my first fear is technology, and AI is down the line. And so I think it's also important to have the conversation about probably the further gaps in access that AI may create, especially for women who are generally struggling with technology, and how do we deal with that? I use AI a lot, but I know a lot of friends who just have a total fear of it. So how do we manage that? And I'm a little bit worried that you have an all-male panel that are talking very technical AI stuff, but there's a lot around AI from a women's perspective that I think could add value to a conversation like this. There are different ways in which we engage with AI. And I think there's also, there are things that we need to discuss around the politics of AI. And how we engage with that as we embrace the technology.
On the issue of gender dynamics, I can promise you it's not for lack of trying from the organizers. Well, now we know, and Erica has made a note. No, but Erica has made a note. And as she said earlier, this is just the beginning of what will be multiple conversations. And I think the gap, as you say, particularly from a gender dynamic point of view of what we're talking about, becomes an important one to engage in. Lars, who would like to take up?
I'm not sure what the exact question was, but I do agree with you on your points that you were speaking about. I think there should be more of a woman's perspective as well, on this subject, and not just men's perspectives.
Let me possibly try to rephrase one of the questions then, purely because I'm already sitting here and There are currently people in South Africa who are so au fait with this technology and have it like literally at their fingertips, right? And they're engaging with it on a daily basis. And at the same time, there are very, very many South Africans who do not necessarily even have a classroom with a pen and a paper. Are we not running the risk of creating an even bigger gap in the contribution to the economy and gainful employment, creating and all of that, because of the differences in society?
Thanks for the rephrasing, Africa. Definitely. That is a risk all over the world, by the way. And just to the gender gap, I see it in my business and in my world, even more going into an age gap. Definitely as well, not only, but as well. So, but in terms of the gap between the haves and the have-nots, and people that have access to education and people that don't have an easy access to education, we have to really take care that that whole aspect does not widen the gap. I absolutely agree. How do we do that? Politics. That is going to be a difficult question to answer in general. We already see it in the educational field, that you have a student there in a coding class that has access to Claude. The other 2-3 other students don't have. Difficult situation in education already. Yeah. So we have to definitely talk about it and put that on the agenda in public press, public media, discussions, wherever we can, so that people actually become aware about it and aware of it and do something about it. But that needs public interaction with the people that are in charge of it.
So just talking about the people who aren't getting with AI, let's say. Digital transformation, are you familiar with that term? How long has that been around for? Who's done it? Hardly anyone. Right? So if you aren't onto AI and you didn't do digital transformation, chances are you're never going to do AI anyway. So AI I don't think is for everyone. It's not. But I think every business owner needs to accept that if you are building without AI, your chances to have success in the future are virtually zero. You can't compete. You cannot work at the same productivity, you can't work at the same efficiency, you can't work at the same margins. So it's really a choice of, do you want to move forward at the times or not? And this is kind of that last gap, because that line is going, it's escalating. It's almost on a vertical right now. So to be able to catch someone, one of your competitors who started 3 years ago and is today working with fully agentic systems, you need to start today. So it's not a case of, do I want to, am I interested? It's, you actually have to.
You've got masterclasses coming, so that hold on now.
I think my question actually follows quite nicely, because I am Rena Soyer. I'm a design lecturer at CBT.
So sorry for what's happening on your campus. Really.
Thank you. Today being here is actually a nice mental break for us. So we are walking a tightrope, because we know our students might come into industry and they will be expected to show efficiency, to show how to actually change their working process, but we're also expected to teach them foundational skills. So my question is, when you see new graduates coming into industry, what would you like them to be able to do in terms of integrating AI into their workflow? And have you seen any foundational skills possibly being affected?
That's a giant topic. In a nutshell, just a bit of background, like I created and ran and managed the game technology course at the Academy of Digital Arts after running a course in Germany. So I've been developing these programs and teaching 20 years now. Jesus Christ. When I started, Facebook wasn't a thing. So people, like what Ryan just said, don't treat AI like people treated text editing tools when the first PCs came around and people wanted to stay on their traditional typewriters. Bad idea. You need to know the new technology, because quite frankly it will make you more effective. And I expect that from the students, graduates that go out there. Not only have the knowledge of the technology that you actually ask it to use, design thinking, critical thinking, coding experience, whatever industry you go into, or whatever skill sets you want to create, want to have from your education, add the necessary tools to that. So what we have done is to actually make AI part of the curriculum. We allow them to use these tools, but also creating code with Claude or with whatever tool you use, and using that and putting that out there as your own. I have made it. I have created this. That borders on plagiarism. So we literally tell them, you're allowed to use it, definitely use it to its full extent, but make sure that you also know what you're doing, because you don't know the company you're going into. You might run into an anti-AI company, however that they might fare with that in the long run. So they have to have the knowledge. And speaking of what did we see that already backfired, exactly what came up earlier. You have a student that shows you stuff and it looks impressive. The problem is when I ask him, okay, so how does this work? He cannot tell me. The student that doesn't have access to Claude researched a little bit with ChatGPT, the free version, got some knowledge out of it, and used the knowledge that he was taught in class, and solved the problem him or herself, gets in the long run the better results, and has the better career. So it's a topic that is not easy to answer, but yeah, in a nutshell, this is what I saw. As I said, this is my experience, my opinion. Other people might have seen something else happen.
Lars, thank you very much. We've got a couple of people following us, obviously, online. And in fact, Mukete's input speaks very much to that, saying with AI seemingly claiming creditation, copyright, how much of credit does it give to where it is sourced and the primary input for the prompting or the idea given? Which is it's almost the reverse of what we've just discussed, isn't it, Lars? Where if you are a creative and you've used AI to help contribute to the final product, you have to give credit to AI. But in this case, you've prompted the questions, it has then come up with a suggested idea, and it seemingly wants to have credit even though it doesn't indicate where its original source of the idea came from.
This has to do with how these systems are being trained. I'm a semi-professional hobby photographer as well. I know that most of my stuff that I put out there was used to train these generative AIs and generative image and video systems. They learn from that. They use books, they use everything. Okay. There is a big copyright problem at the moment worldwide. Every nation handles that pretty much differently. And there have been cases where book publishers that went into, okay, we want to publish a comic book, a graphic novel, and they rejected the book from the author that actually said, I generated the images using AI. He was completely open about it. But the story and everything is myself. That is all handmade in a text editing program. But they rejected it because of the very unclear copyright situation.
Yeah.
Will that be solved? We don't know. There's a major case in Germany right now with Suno, the music AI generator. That is a really, really, really rough case there. But every country handles that differently. So it's a bit hard to answer that question.
For sure. Zah or Ryan, I'm not sure who's going to be best placed to answer Megan's comment, saying I just did an AI mock-up for my packing to give the idea of what I'd like them to achieve, and have now been told that the art department can't work with the mock-up art. Megan doesn't say why. Megan, perhaps if you can send us another message and tell us why, and then we'll be in a position perhaps to give you a bit more fruitful reflection. Let's go to our next question, which is here.
Thank you. My name is Nikki. I want to talk about gaps and barriers, and I'm going to give you a very specific example. I own a small craft spirits company, and I'm wanting to update and redesign the branding and the website. And I did a couple of short courses online to teach myself the broad basics of AI, learn a little about the large language models, which tools are good for which things, and then I started playing with the actual tools, like Designer, like ChatGPT, like Base44, etc. My website, I couldn't get any of those to a point where I liked what it was giving me. Then young Josh here told me about Lovable, which is an AI website designer. I asked ChatGPT to give me the mock-up of what I would like my website to look like, and it got exactly what I wanted. And then I asked Lovable to build me that website, which it did perfectly. The landing page, all the information I wanted, it got the tongue-in-cheek, irreverent style I wanted, it perfectly. My images, it did exactly what I wanted. And then I hit a paywall. And now I can't go further because I have a tiny company and I do not have $800 a year to spend on an AI tool. Then I did some research and I found Open Lovable.
You couldn't use any more, you don't want any more credits.
Yeah, Lovable gives you 30 credits a month and then you have to subscribe.
Do you know that with Lovable, one prompt is 1 credit, so as long
Yes.
it can be as long as you want. You can do
Giving
the whole,
it several
you
different instructions in the same prompt.
Yeah, if you give it one prompt from the beginning, it just uses 1 credit and does everything.
Okay, that's interesting.
So you could
Anyway,
open up a new account and just take the end prompt with everything and chuck it in again, just as a
could
thought.
do that. But
Yeah.
this brings me to, we then found Open Lovable. And now Open Lovable doesn't seem to want to import from Lovable without me paying for a subscription. So what is the point of Open Lovable? And the point I'm trying to get to is this creates gaps, this creates barriers to access for tiny businesses which don't have those budgets. So do you have suggestions for free AI tools or workarounds?
Yeah, I mean, look, there are workarounds, like, you know, you could, I guess with the hosting, you could use something like FileZilla. So you actually export everything and then host it separately. So yes, there are ways, but there's lots of AI tools. I wouldn't just focus on Lovable. I know friends who've put up websites in a day for fractions of a penny. So it's definitely possible. But yeah, sorry, does that answer the question? Not really. What was the exact question?
Tell you what, go to his masterclass, and then he'll be able to share some of those tools in that class there, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I only prompt that because this is now going to be our final question, and then we're going to start wrapping up and getting ready for those masterclasses.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm so glad that I'm here, that we can speak about these things openly, because when you say all these wonderful things about AI, reducing costs, reducing people, I get so scared. No more jobs. When I talk to AI, they know everything about my life. I get so upset. How do you know that? I never told you this. The other day, I had a fight with a company on the website. I cried. It made me mad. And I realized it was an AI. I was fighting with a machine. Serious. So I'm glad you also who spoke about gender-based violence. I'm so scared to be a woman in these days. So many fake news, so many femicides. We don't know what it's real, what it's not real. I come from Brazil. Brazil now, it's a big polarized society between the right wing and the left wing. The right wing, they play dirty. The videos that they do, people kill themselves. The world is so fearful. So thank you, Erica, for giving this open space that I can say, I think twice before I get out of my house. And now it's still AI that I have to worry about. I don't see, okay, this is the way that the world is going. Sometimes I feel myself, please, where is the bus stop? Let me jump out. So this is what I feel about all this.
Thank you very much for sharing. And I think it's a lovely way of then segueing into your final thoughts and reflections. You indicated earlier that AI is not for everybody. And for those people who it isn't for, it is very overwhelming.
Sure.
It really is scary.
And at the end, it still needs a human on the other side of it, right? So it's the human directing it to create a certain type of content. It's not the AI that's dodgy. It's the people creating and using AI. And before they could use other technologies, they could even use traditional film to make a situation that wasn't actually even real. So this has been going on for years, and it's just causing us to be a little bit more discerning and really, I guess, find the right people that we can trust to get the news that we need, and not just allow any news that comes across in our feed to come into our psychology. And if you are going to allow that, we need to have certain protocols to fact check that information and not allow this false information into our psyche.
All right. Zah, how do you bring comfort? No pressure.
I think a limitation with it is definitely privacy. And if you are utilizing these tools, you need to have an understanding that you are, making yourself and your private life to some extent available for these tools to be used. So if you aren't wanting to get exposed in that way, then the tool isn't for you, I would say. I think that's my...
Can I just add one thing on there? You're using ChatGPT?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know if you know, but there's a setting, and if you don't put the setting on, all your conversations are public. So maybe it's an idea to go in and just do a little tutorial, whatever AI you're using, how can I use the settings to increase my privacy? And this is really where we're going at the moment. It is about creating AIs with private enclaves to be able to do the computations, and that's your information. Whether we get there, that remains to be seen.
All right. Lars?
I can also just add one
go
more
ahead.
thing to that. There is also AI that is available to run completely offline as well. It's not as extensive and doesn't have as many tools as the online versions, but you can run AI offline on machines.
Would she be able to prompt the AI bot and say, "Stop speaking to me like this. I'm feeling distressed"? Like, is it possible to say, not shut up, because that's not what you want to do. You still want the information, right? But just be kind about it.
Yeah, but go.
So you can actually go in and you can give it some instructions in the back end of how you want it to be with you, what its tone is, how friendly it is. Yes.
For those online, the response is, yes, she knows this, but there are those people who will use it for ill intention in order to drive a political message and all of that kind of thing. Yeah.
Sure. It's the Wild West right now. Back it up.
It is. Lars, you've got to bring some sense and wisdom to all of this.
Oh, wow. That's the old guy in the room. Okay, fine. No, there is, technology has always been this thing. Since we picked up the first rock to use it as a tool, we had the choice to use it for the best of our tribe that we were running around with, as Neanderthals or Cro-Magnon. Fire, the same thing. And now technology is back again with a big step. There were other big steps before this one. And yeah, that might not be a word of, this might not calm people down or make them less afraid. It's up to us how we use it. There will be, as Ryan earlier said, you can put bars to it on a personal level, but we have always had fake messaging. We've always had news media, other media, families, politicians lie to us. That always happened throughout the history of humans. So I think talking about this and putting this out there and asking for, which is happening with social media right now. Like, social media is getting, I think Mark Zuckerberg just got really bad news from Europe, I think in France actually, because social media was and is very harmful to people that use it the wrong way. I think education is a big part of this. We have to educate people how to stay safe, what can happen, what they can do, and then trust that everybody sticks to it.
We've got a local government election happening in about 74 days. And as a broadcaster, that's my biggest worry. The amount of misinformation that is going to be used through technology. And exactly. And therefore it places a lot more pressure on me as a broadcaster to say, this is what I know, and this is what I'm able to share with you. And for the moment, trust that that is the correct information. Anything beyond that is just vitriol that everyone should get away from. So, a round of applause, please, for our panelists. I know we ended on a slightly serious note, but AI is here. Please be excited to play with it and find tools that are relevant to your businesses and to your creative processes. If you can find them freely, absolutely do. But know that as a person who consumes your product, I still want to see your creativity. That's why I'm paying for your product, and I'm paying a slightly superior price to what a Chinese-made product might cost me. We've heard the conversation around women and the age gap, and I think there's a lot that can be pursued there. And as Erica invited you to do so, please bombard them with feedback and say, hey, can we build this conversation to this next step, whatever that might be. All right. We'll have a 10-minute break, so you can fire up your coffee machine again, good sir, and then we'll go into the 3 different rooms. Lars will be speaking to the AI promise and production reality. Zahir will be speaking to engenic workflows for the creative practice, and Ryan will be speaking to AI video production, prompt to polish. And if you just walk down the corridor, you'll see which room that they're in. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, everybody. Sorry guys, a quick notice. There is another workshop happening here in 2 weeks' time, so in a fortnight from now, a workshop happening from Footsec Studios, and you heard me right, Footsec Studios will be talking about digital art. There will be an email coming out to inform you about the details, but it's happening here in a fortnight, okay?